Hola todos, it's Jay from Fluent in 1 Year, and today I have a video for you that will be very important for your Spanish speaking development. I apologize for having so many things on screen. I was just here a moment ago, just doing this video, and the software failed me. The screen recording software failed me, and it stopped recording. I lost the entire video. It was over 10 minutes. And instead of going over everything, because I'm speaking about conversation right here, so it's not like I'll be able to go over everything the way I did in the video. So I've decided that, you know what, I'll keep everything on screen. I'll explain line by line as I go along, and then I'll continue the video. And then, we'll have some fun learning some Spanish. So what we're doing today is that we are doing something that will help us a lot in Spanish learning, because the moment you start learning Spanish is the moment you should start speaking Spanish. And the best way to speak Spanish is sometimes face to face with a friend or a complete stranger. And there are some things that you should know going into a situation like this. So what I've done is that I've created a scenario that you've gone to the bar and you're out with friends. You're talking and you see someone you would like to talk to. And then what happens is that you learn that this person speaks Spanish for whatever reason it may be. You might have just heard them say something to a colleague in Spanish. You might hear their accent. You might even be at a Spanish bar and everyone's speaking Spanish, and you want to get into a piece of that action. However, under your belt is only 2 days of Spanish speaking knowledge. You don't know that much and frankly don't feel very confident about yourself. This video will be a tutorial on how you can get over all of that. So the first thing that you'll do naturally when in a conversation situation is that you walk over to a person that you want to have a conversation with. You maintain eye contact, you smile friendly, and you say hi. But you're speaking Spanish here. You don't want to start a conversation in English, because then if you switch automatically to Spanish somewhere in the conversation, it might be seen a little bit negative. You might seem weird, you seem like you're showing off because you know two languages. You never know. People can be very weird at times, depending on their situation. So what you'll do, you'll walk over and you'll say hola. And what you've done right here is that you've opened the conversation while speaking Spanish. The person that you're speaking to may never know that all you know to say in Spanish is hola. Or is it? So let's continue. You say hola or hi, and then your person, I've named him Pedro for the situation. And then your person, Pedro in the situation, has said hola. He says back hi and ¿cómo estás? And this is really saying hi, how are you? It's a very casual introduction to yourself, because what happens here is that the estas form that he has used is what we call informal Spanish. And to avoid going on a tangent on what we're really discussing here, I'll leave formal versus informal Spanish for our next video. In fact, it will be in a card right above head right now. And then in your reply, you say estoy bien, y tú? And what you've done here, you've said that you're fine, and you ask him, how are you? But instead of saying estoy bien, ¿cómo estás? It seems a little more relaxing and more fluent, because remember, when you're speaking English, you never just go to someone and speak everything straight from the book. Everyone has a certain pattern that they enjoy speaking in. And my goal here in Fluency is to get you to the point where the same nuances that you have while speaking your native language can be used when speaking in Spanish. Sorry. So you say estoy bien, and you're saying that I am okay, and how are you? He replies estoy bien, gracias, and he's really saying that I'm okay, thanks. And at that point you might want to escalate a little bit further and say ¿cómo se llama usted? Or ¿cómo te llamas? And this again, the llama, usted versus just llamas, is really another form, not really form, it's another example of formal versus informal Spanish. And with this, there will be another video, as I said, so I won't dwell on it too long. But basically, and the takeaway is this, is that you speak formal Spanish to those around you, like your peers. No, you speak formal Spanish to those you would address as Mr. or Mrs., those you show some level of respect to. And then you use the more informal form with your friends and peers, family, etc. You're in a bar, so it's very unlikely that you want to have the office appearance and be like, "How are you doing, sir? Nice to meet you." No, you want to be, "Hey man, how are you?" So you say, "Como te llamas? What is your name?" And that's really informal. He will reply, "Me llamo Pedro." ¿Y tú? And that's what he's saying. What he's saying right here is, "My name is Pedro. And yours?" I never put that on. "And yours?" Oh, I have the Spanish keyboard installed still. And he says, "And yours?" Now, this excerpt right here in red, llamar, to call. What happens is that I was explaining the formal versus informal in the previous video that I lost. And it's also important to notice that what Pedro said is me llamo. I'll that in a different line. What Pedro says is me llamo Pedro. And this literally means I am called Pedro. This is because what happens is that you have different kind of verbs. They're not all the same as you have in English. When you're speaking Spanish, you can have what is called a reflexive verb. And that's basically a verb that influences you yourself or somebody else. A verb that is done to someone. And I've said this before in my video on genders and the article. You can particularly say la mano, or the hand, or la cabeza, the head. No. Well, you can, but you can't say my hand and say mi mano, which is really my hand, or mi cabeza, my head. Or you can say my head hurts by saying, literally saying mi cabeza duele, or my head has pain. No, you have to use what is called a reflexive verb to influence the pain on your head, if that makes sense. And I'll make a video. It will be very detailed and you'll understand a lot more. So I'll move on for now. Then Pedro says, "Me llamo Pedro too," and he's asking what your name is. At this stage, you might want to reply that "Me llamo," and then you add your name. You don't say "Me llamo es," "my name is," no, because "Me llamo," it literally means I call me, or I call myself. It's a reflexive verb. It sounds weird, but it's perfectly fine in Spanish. And then Pedro will reply, "Encantada," and that really means nice to meet you. It's a shortened form for "Encantada de conocerte." But what if at this stage Pedro asks, "¿Qué tipo de música te gustas?" And what he's asking here is that, what type of music do you like? And you have only 2 days of Spanish under your belt. You have no idea what he means by "qué tipo de música te gustas." And you're like, what? You don't want to switch back to Spanish, right? You don't want to switch back to English, sorry. You want to keep going in Spanish so you can use the Spanish that you have learned to teach yourself more Spanish, to learn more Spanish, and that's the best way to learn Spanish. So what I've done here is that I'm explaining a few ways that you can overcome the challenge of not knowing what someone has said. First thing you can say is, "I do not understand." And when you say "I do not understand," you're really just leaving a blank right here. It's very straightforward and it doesn't leave too much to the imagination. Another thing that you can say is that I speak a little bit of Spanish, and that will explain a lot, because up until this stage you could have been fluent really. Being fluent doesn't necessarily mean that you won't use the basic Spanish now, does it? And all you've done here is use some basic phrases and some basic terms to really introduce yourself to Pedro. So what you say right here is that I speak a little bit of Spanish, or a little Spanish, whatever the English might be for that. And then what that is in English, in Spanish, sorry, yo hablo un poco de, come on, de español. And this really helps. I have a typo. This really helps the listener to understand why you said that, because he said something that a beginner might not necessarily understand. However, let's say you're more interested in challenging yourself and you want to say to him, what does that mean in English? In fact, what you can use all three phrases I'm about to say. You can say, I do not understand, I speak a little English, and you say, what does that mean? And by saying that, you use the phrase que significa eso. ¿Qué significa eso? Oh, I've missed off. See, I've never really done this typing on screen before, so I'm missing a few details. And you say, ¿qué significa eso? What does that mean? And at that stage, you might go on to say something in English or in Spanish. However, let's say he continues in Spanish and you still don't understand. You can say to him, por favor, please speak slower. Let's do that first. Instead of going straight to English, let's ask him to speak slower. So you want to ask him to please speak slower. And by saying, what you do is you say, por favor, come on, keyboard. No hablas, you do not speak, and this will come back from the verbs video that I'll be doing soon. Por favor, no hablas tanto rápidamente. Alright, I'll address something here, because at this stage you might know this phrase and you're like, nah, that's not what it is. Okay, what happens is that there are a lot of ways to say something. What I've done here is I've said, please, you do not speak. No hablas is really you do not speak. Hablas is the verb form for to speak that influences you. So it's really saying you speak, and by no hablas it's say you do not speak. So, tanto, so much, fast, rapidamente. Do not speak so fast. Or you can say, please speak English. And what that is that you say, por favor again, as you might know, that's please. Hablo inglés, hablas inglés. Sorry about that. Hablas inglés. And you might switch to English. And what you've done right here is that you've made an attempt. Oh no, I have missed one important thing. Repete por favor. Please repeat. Repete por favor. Por favor. Please repeat. And that might be the first thing you want to do. And you still don't understand. You say, I do not understand. I speak a little Spanish. What does that mean? And then you might go in English or Spanish and explain a little further. And if not, you say, please speak slower if you can't really hear what he's saying. Or you ask him to speak in English. And at this stage, what you've shown to Pedro, and this is probably the most important thing of what you've done here, is that you've shown to Pedro that you're confident in speaking whatever Spanish you might know. Remember, you can speak a lot of Spanish and you still don't understand what someone has said. So all these phrases right here, they will come in very handy in your Spanish speaking journey. And then in Pedro's mind, you see someone that is trying. Remember, if you're out and you speak to someone that's from Ukraine, for example, and they have very poor English, you feel more happy helping that person when they try to speak English versus someone who consistently speak Ukrainian, and they go on and on and on in a Cyrillic language, and they're not trying to learn the language that you speak. Whenever someone shows an interest in learning another language, for example, a language that you speak or a language that someone else is speaking, it helps them to learn because people are more likely to help them because they're trying. And this does not only apply to language learning, it applies to many areas. In fact, it applies to all areas. Nobody wants to help someone who is not trying to help themselves. So I've been a little bit slow on this video. I made a few mistakes, but thanks for watching if you made it until here. You know, I'm very honored that you did, and I'm glad I could teach you something. I will improve in the future because, as I said, it's my actual first time really doing a video where I type in Spanish and stuff like that. And most times when I'm speaking Spanish face to face or typing on my cell phone. So, you know, I've been a little bit shaky here and there. But thanks for watching anyway. I appreciate it.